Now recording. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Thank you. Thank you. So, how's assignment 4 going?
I started it.
You started it?
Yeah.
How's it going?
Horrible.
Oh no.
Stop.
Okay. You've started it as well?
Yes.
Okay. What are your issues? What are the main issues? Yes.
Whenever I reload the page or like click a button to go left or right, instead of saying regular elliptical URL and then left right, it'll go typical URL left row, and then you'll click the next button and go left right, and then left right, and so on and so forth.
All right. I'll show you how to fix that. Is that the same issue you were having?
No, I'm not that far yet.
Oh, okay. So, like, this kind of falls into the category of problems you experience when you actually, like, you know, when the rubber hits the road and you actually try to code something. Ignore my marking background. Oh, you can't even see it. Ha ha! All right. By the way, nothing is getting graded this week. You'll be lucky, I'll be lucky if I can start grading next week. I hope that all of the exams are finished by Friday, but we'll see.
Oh, I have a question.
Yes?
So in the document for the assignment, it says how to write me.php, which is just like put in your name, student number, whatever. But then if we open me.php, it says instructor solutions, which is very different from all the other me.phps you've given us. So
I forgot to change
I
it.
feel like you want us to do something different in there.
Yeah, just change it so it says your name instead of instructor solutions.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. That's maybe it's just an echo statement. So.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't even think there's any marks in the rubric for it this time. Now that I think. Yeah, I did the rubric out, which, let me show you the rubric. It's always important to look at the rubric. Oh, by the way, hopefully stuff like this should make more sense now. Right? Yeah, good. Alright, rubric. So, it's out of 100 points. Proper use of views. Neither the model nor the controller shall produce view material. HTML, CSS, JS. That's worth 10 points. Proper use of model. Neither the controller nor the view shall interact with an SQL database, the file system, and neither shall write to the session. Notice, write to, you are permitted to read from the session, just not write to it. Unless you're in the model, that's worth 20 points. Proper use of controller. All selection logic with respect to views and model functions shall be localized in the controller. 10 points. Template array. The template array is used to transfer data from the model functions to the views. 10 points. So half the weight of this assignment is your ability to create the MVC architecture. Okay? Okay. Then it's functionality, and it basically breaks it down by the individual sort of important things. Notice the deductions for security vulnerabilities. If it's XSS vulnerable, that's worth a deduction of 15 points. If you're not using the PDO object, that is worth a deduction of all of the points. It says in the instructions, if you're not using the PDO object, you will get a grade of 0. That is not an idle threat. As my dear, sweet departed mother used to say, I don't make threats, I make promises. And if your code is SQL injection attack vulnerable, that's worth a 30-point deduction. Alright? So please, 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 please make sure that you're using the proper methods to access your database. Follow-up question?
Hesitant question. So when we're using the PDO, in the example we're doing in class right now, we have it in app.config.php.
Mm-hmm.
Should we put it in the controller or the model, or should we also make a config for it?
Oh, so don't just put the connection code in the controller. It's not appropriate for being in the controller, right? Hopefully that makes sense,
Yes.
right? If you want to put it as the front matter of the model, I'm okay with that. If you want to make it its own file, and actually you can kind of just reuse the actual one we used in Collectus. Like, that's totally permissible. Just import it either into the controller or the model, one of those two places. It doesn't particularly matter which.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. But to your particular question, so the problem I suspect that you are having with the links not being generated correctly, did you notice this one? The base path parameter in the template array. Essentially, we're kind of in a situation where, like, once you put things on CS Unix, you know, you're putting them in, you know, private number A4, right? The problem that you're experiencing with it continually repeating turn, 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 turn left, right? This is because the thing, you're making it use a relative path rather than an absolute path. So basically it's taking what you're giving it and intending as the route, and it's considering it the file name. That's why it's replacing left with turn left, right? So you have to tell it that, no, this is not a relative path, this is an absolute path. And the way that you do that is by putting a slash in front of it, right? All my Linux guys out there, yeah? Absolute path file.txt, right? Or relative path. It might be forward slashes now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah. Right? So it may be that you've got things configured such that if you just put, like if you're testing this on your own XAMPP installation, your base path, depending on like how you've structured the folders, right? Like if you're using the same XAMPP htdocs folder that you've been using all along, and you've been keeping your different assignments in different folders as opposed to blowing the whole thing out, then you know you might your path might look like A4 or something like that, right? I think I give you that slash for free, right? That might be like whatever the path is within htdocs, but it needs to start with a slash, right? If it's just in the, just in htdocs itself, then you just include, the base path becomes just slash, right? So try that out and let me know if it works. Any other questions about assignment 4? I'm happy to be helpful. Anybody just kind of having difficulty finding a place to start, or a little bit?
Yeah, I'm still in the planning phase for it. It's a
Gotcha.
lot.
Well, this is kind of why I provided that guy. So, if you I know I kind of intentionally made these steps very top level, because I expect you to fill in the details. But if you follow this procedure, you'll you should this can map you through the assignment. Good. Happy to hear some people are starting it already. Any questions about anything whatsoever? All right. So this is our final class, which is intended to cover content. Next week is review week. We will be having a big fat exam review. We may have that split over 2 periods. We may go through some study resources as one of those 2 periods, but everyone's done, we did one of these for the midterm, so you guys know what to expect, right? Yeah? So I will hold off on too much commentary on the subject of the exam, except possibly as it pertains to the time slot. So an interesting quirk of the Outlook system has happened, and when everybody else got the email about when the times are for the exams, I never actually got it. So I haven't actually received official word of when the exam is happening yet, but I hear there's a rumor going around that it's Tuesday at 8 a.m. Yeah, not my favorite, but especially because I think I'm going to have to ask my wife to rebook a thing. Told her, it's exam week, so you got a 2 out of 5 chance of that maybe not working out. But she's like, I'll take the risk. So she took the risk, and now, I'm sorry, wife. Not that she watches the videos, but good grief. But yeah, so today we're going to be doing MVC architecture / REST API material. The two, you can't really do one without the other, so we're going to be doing both at the same time. Okay? So, shall we get started? All right. Everybody, please open XAMPP and your favorite code editor, which is definitely Vim, right guys? Your favorite code editor is Emacs, right? Emacs, anybody? Yeah? Oh, don't make that. So, I think we'll do a very databases classic kind of thing today. So let's set up a table. Just a quick little database, quick little table. Let's call our database, shall we do video games? Video games, everybody? Yeah? Sure? Video games. Create. Let's create a table. Yeah, 4 columns is good. Let's call this table games. We'll need an ID, which shall be an auto-incrementing primary key. And let's do name, genre, and rating. There we go. There we go. Save. Oh, wait. Rating, it should actually be numeric, shouldn't it? Whoopsie. There we go. Pardon me. So there we go. A name, and a genre, and a rating, and a primary key. So far, so good?
We get a little.
Oh, yeah, sorry. There you go. Now, just so that there's some data in here for us to be able to view data, let's insert just a little bit. So, give me a video game.
Halo.
Halo. The original, I presume.
Yeah.
Genre?
FPS.
FPS, sci-fi. Rating? How would we rate the original Halo?
9.
9. Any other ratings? Are we in agreement on 9? I almost made that a string again. There we go. Alright, let's do a couple more. Game, please.
Deus Ex.
Deus Ex, which is a sci-fi, what do you want to call it?
It's like a first-person shooter with like RPG elements.
FPS RPG sci-fi. Rating?
I'd give it like 8 to 9.
8 to, it's an integer. 8, I can't even do 8.5, come on. 8 then.
8, yeah.
We'll take the floor function. One more game. How about a bad game?
Sonic 06.
Ooh, very good. Sonic 06. Which, it's just called Sonic the Hedgehog, isn't it? Yeah. Genre, Sonic game. Oh wait, I have to escape my quote, don't I? It's a platformer, I guess. It's an awful platformer. And our rating is -2. There we go. There we go. There we go. We have some data. So, let's now create for ourselves an MVC architecture where we can view this data. This is good review. So, our application will be very simple. I only want there to be one view, but we are going to support multiple commands. So, let's take a look. Save as. Oh, I did that thing again. There we go. Index.php. Start with our controller. So, a couple of things that we need right off the bat. We're going to need a connection to a database. So let's include like this. Am I remembering this correctly with the hashtag? Pretty sure.
I don't think you do a hashtag.
Yeah. Okay. I'm back in C land. You know. Config.php. And of course, this is the controller in an MVC architecture, so what do we need to include as well? We need to create the template array, that's true, let's do that. TTO. Template array created. But there's something else that we need to import. The model, very good. Include model.php. There we go. Now we don't have either of those, so let's create them. With the config file, if you're doing this on your own computer, you probably have one hanging out in a previous week's directory. So just grab that. Let's see here. Where is it here? App.config. There we go.
Sorry,
Yes?
which is the one that have the cookies one?
The one from the 19th of this month
Okay.
has it. From 1 week ago. I'm just going to rename it so that it matches what I named it this time. And let's make the model file, model.php. There we go. Currently does nothing. That's fine. So, the way that we're going to design this particular application, we only want one view, and it's going to be your, basic HTML table of the data in the database, right? We'll add a few things to it as we're going, but that's kind of where we're shooting for at the moment. This isn't a front-end class, so we're not going to do anything fancy, okay? So, let's make a view. Because we only have one, we could even call it the view. The view.php. Nah, that's sarcastic. If there's one piece of advice I can give you, do not name your variables, functions, or classes sarcastically. I guarantee you, whoever reads it won't find it as funny as you did. And if you ever want to laugh, there's a YouTube video of comments left in Valve's code. Go and look that up on your own time. So you'll need the view. View.php. There we we go. So I'm gonna skip a bunch of the sort of front matter. Let's just jump right to the table. Table. So for the contents of the table, we will want to loop over all of the records which are returned from the database. Right? Presumably, this data is being stored in the TPL, the template array. That's the purpose of the bloody thing. So, for each, oh, that's the wrong one. That'll be a closing brace. For each line, or for each TPL at, let's just call it data as line. Yeah? Table row and table row. There we go. Suppose we should have a header as well. T head. And I suppose this is supposed to be in the body. And T head. Fed, if you will. T body. And T body. There we go. TD and TD. We will have name, genre, and rating. You with me so far? I hear the keyboards clickety-clackety.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I haven't done enough yet to take a pause and point at it with my lightsaber to give everybody a chance to catch up yet. So let me just do a bit more, and then you can, yeah. So we're going to need to basically duplicate this structure, right? We can put them on different lines. But rather than being the term name, genre, and rating, we want to drop in the appropriate PHP information. Line at name. Try to make these match the ones that exist in the database. That way you don't have to transform them. Genre. Thank you. Right now I'm in the process of finalizing the databases exam, which means I'm like Dr. Gilbert has sent me a long list of typos, and I'm like, thank you for this list of typos. I know it looks bad, but it's pretty good for a guy who's doing all of these in an editor that doesn't have a spell checker. So, why would you learn spelling? So that you can spell. So, one of the ones that apparently was a particular hang-up was unit does orders instead of unit dose orders. But that one's easy. That's a really easy typo to make. So we get what's going on here, right?
Missing an opening bracket.
Missing an opening bracket? Yes, I am. Thank you very much. Hopefully this is nothing. This should be nothing new. This is something we've done quite a bit of, right? Now we need to focus on populating the template array with that data. So, if you wouldn't mind, once again, going into the previous project that we grabbed the config file from, and just kind of sneakily, well, I actually have a thing called select.php in there. Let's see what that's all about. Yeah, that'll do. Our example code from a week ago in this class, a week ago in this class, contains a file called select.php, which is a basic, here's a database select. If you can copy that into today's folder, there we go. Open her up. This is the code we're interested in. So let's go to our model, right? Because what's the controller not allowed to do? If I did this, what's the problem?
It's chatting with the database, which it's not supposed to do.
The controller is talking to the database, which it's not supposed to do. That's right. So what is supposed to talk to the database? The model. That's right. How many points were there on the assignment for that? 20.
Okay, question though, you also have the config in the controller, which opens up the connection with the database, is that okay?
I mean,
Or should config also go in model?
there are two justifications for that, which I can imagine, both of which I think there's some weight to. Basically, it's I know that MVC is kind of a stylistic thing in general, but here are the two arguments. One, it makes sense to put the config in the model because the model is talking to the database and it simplifies the controller.
Yes.
This is a good, okay, I can see that argument. Argument number two, all imports in the same place.
Well, you're doing the select imports in the model though.
Well, I'm not actually importing that file. I'm going to be copying
Oh,
code
okay,
out of it.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough, okay.
So yeah, all imports in the same place is also a pretty good, strong principle. So either one is okay with me.
Okay, fair enough.
Trust me, you can get to a point with projects with import trees that it starts to become quite difficult to understand who's importing what and when. And the whole reason that PHP supports include once is because, maybe this is particular to PHP, but I'd say it's, pretty generally true. The reason that include and require once exists is because the dependency tree becomes quite complicated if you let it get there. So, model function. Function. Fetch data. Doesn't require anything to fetch the data. We will be talking to the template array, so let's drop in that we're talking to the template array. Code. Now we're not going to be echoing it. Oh wait, no. Pardon me. Let's do this differently. Let's make it the controller's business to assign to the template array. Template array at data will be equal to the return result of fetch data. There we go. Let's put that right there. That simplifies the model, separates things a little better. Okie dokie? So, fetch data. Select star from not credentials, but what are we selecting from? What's the table name?
Games.
Games, good. Select star from games. Prepare the query, execute the query. The data is the result of fetching. I'm trying to do this like, we only have so much time, so I'm gonna like skip some of the error checking that we would typically do, all right, in the interests of keeping this moving. So, simple as. We're returning the result that's given to us from the database. Make sense? So far, so good? We should have something testable now, so let's test it. Localhost 1080/2025-11-26 in my case. Uh-oh. Ah, yes. Well, that's true. See, the computer's never wrong when it tells you an error, right? Let's open up our config file. That's not what our database is called. What's our database called? It's called video games, isn't it? Video games. Video games. Now, isn't it nice? Isn't it lovely that when we set this up, we put that as a variable that you write at the top of the file? Wasn't that convenient? Wasn't that nice? Wasn't that good? Yes.
In model.php, it has a variable for dbh, but dbh is set in config, and I don't think model has access to config.
Global DBH.
Yeah, we'll have to say global DBH. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So global variables are shared between things which have been included, right? When you include something, this isn't like Java where you get a different, or C++ or something like that, where you get a different namespace for a thing that you've included. Everything's dumped into one common namespace. But yeah, we have to, yeah. Good, good, good. Save. Aha! We have data. Now that looks pretty awful. So I'm just gonna, I hope you'll indulge me while I drop a quick style block in there. Table and TD border 2 pixels solid black. Ah, there you go. Okay. So far, so good. So far, so review. Now, let's add a form where we can add some new data to this thing. Okay? So, when we add this new, let's embed the action in the route. All right. So our route will be add. All right, and then we will have some post parameters, which will be the the actual things, right? So let's write a web form. In our view, drop in a form. Input type is text. Name is equal to name. Okay. name, genre, rating, and add, or type is submit, value is add, game. So, action. Add. Alright? So with this example, I should be able to reproduce the bug that you guys have been experiencing with the assignment 4, and I'll show you how it fixes. But let's just make it like this for the time being. Or let's even call it add game. How does that look? Yeah? Good? Alright. So, we now have an action, add game. So, we now need to take the route and use a switch controller to select this action that we now have the ability to perform. So, let's go back to our this guy. Now, the route is stored. Anyone? Where is it stored? Server at
URI.
request URI, that's right. There we go. What do we do in order to break the individual strings out of it? We explode! What are we exploding on? Right there. / Ooh. I forgot something. In the view, method equals post. There we go. So, we're exploding on /. Very good. What are we exploding? We are exploding the route. Very good. Now, we are switching on a particular action. So I'd like you to imagine that this was a slightly more complicated example than we are currently doing. Maybe there's more than one thing that we could add to this database, right? So one approach that you can take is to, if your route has been logically organized, you can switch over each of the individual sort of elements of that path, right? So add, and then you switch over whatever add operation you're doing, right? So let's set it up that way. Switch over route element 1. Why is it route element 1 and not route element 0?
Shouldn't it be, oh wait, never mind, you changed it from path.
Yes. Default. So, yes.
Listen, here's a slightly different question. It's regarding the assignment. I'm trying to create the database right now, and I've asked it through AI to figure out what's going on. It's saying the collate that's being used is in a version that's 4 years older than the PHP MyAdmin you have on this. Like it's not registering the one you have in your database.
It's not registering the what I have in my database?
I'm getting a unknown collation error. That's what it's saying on the program.
I'm in the, I can't,
Yeah.
submit a bug ticket. I know it worked for me.
I will say I had that as well, where
Yeah?
I tried to run the SQL thing and it wouldn't create the actual database.
Really?
Yeah, it's saying MySQL set unknown collation UTF-MN, the entire thing. That's in your database. Like I found an instance of it twice.
Are you trying to do this on, like, okay, so you're getting this error. What are you trying to import it into? XAMPP or CS Unix?
The PHP MyAdmin right
PHP MyAdmin on XAMPP or on CS
now. On
Unix?
XAMPP, I should try CS Unix.
Perhaps, yes.
Yeah.
Also, check to see if your version of XAMPP is the version which is, like, is it a recent version of XAMPP or is it the backdated version that is in, like, the, you know, it should be 7.2.24. So let's now, now that we're switching on the first element of the route, let's also switch on the second element of the route. Add game. There we go. In order to add the game, we need to call a model function which inserts that data into the database. So, insert game. We'll need to give it parameters which are harvested from post parameters. Name, filter, input, post. This should be good muscle memory for you guys by this point. Name, filter, sanitize, special chars, sanitize, there we go. And a partridge in a pear tree. Name, genre, rating, name, genre, rating. Rating is a number, so filter, validate, int. Name, genre, rating. I'm not checking nulls, but let's keep going, okay? You gotta check the nulls. Trying to do it quickly. So, this business, reading from the route and switching over the things the route gives you as a form of action. This is like, that's a REST API topic. All right? This is REST API. So, let's try it. Well, no, we still got to do the model function. Let's do the model function. Function insert game takes N, G, and R. Need global DBH. Must write query. Insert into games. values. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Or else you lose 30% of your assignment. Right? You don't put that in, you don't splice the value in directly, because this creates an SQL injection attack site. Yay! You use the question marks. You can also use positional parameters, but this is fine. Or, you can give them names, but this is fine. Take these guys. Baboom! Baboom! Actually, at this point, just return success. Actually, can just return this. Whoa. That's very short indeed. Give it name, give it genre, give it rating. I feel like that's too short to be correct. Do you guys see what I'm doing there? Essentially, this is an insert operation. There's no data that's going to be returned to us from this, which is useful aside from the success or failure of the operation itself. Rather than bind that to a secondary variable, which I then return, I'm just returning this result directly. Right? Small code. Small code is good code much of the time, but don't overdo it. Any questions? Shall we see if it works? Question?
I need to change the switching from add to game. I might not have it on my side, but I think I missed it.
Oh, yeah. Let me show you the view.
Okay.
Right there. So, boop. Uh-oh, object not found. Why is this error happening? I put it to you, the students. I'm getting a 404. Pardon me. Anybody? I don't have an htaccess file. What's the purpose of the htaccess file again? Yes. So what we're using it for is to direct all incoming queries, all incoming packets to our controller. Right now, we don't have one. So this packet is literally looking for a folder called add and a file called game. Doesn't exist, right? So we need to add the htaccess file. New file, save, call it .htaccess. There we go. I think that the previous one has this. Does it? It does not. All right. I'm quite certain there's one in the from Monday's class, which should be in the announcements feed, but it's also in the modules. If you take a look at this thingy, there we go. htaccess, there we go. you just want this exact phrase right here. Copy that. Paste it. Save. Reload. There we go. Ba-boom. Now let's take a look at our database and see if that was added. It was not. Probably because we're adding name A, genre B, rating C, which of course will fail our checks. Right? So, let's call this, someone give me a name of a video game.
Skyrim.
What? Skyrim? Skyrim? RPG, I guess you could call it. Rating?
7, 6.
We'll give it a 7. Aha. Uh-oh. You guys see what happened to the URL just there? What happens if I click that again? Uh-oh. 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 No! This is the error that you guys saw on assignment 4. Right? Again, in the view, this is being taken as a file, and like this is a relative file path, not an absolute file path. If we turn it into an absolute file path, this will be fine. It'll stop this nonsense. But of course, the problem with that is, in order to, like, I'm doing this inside of a subfolder on XAMPP. So this bit, the folder name that this application is in, must be included in the absolute path. So if we pop that guy in, save, reload, there you go. Now, no matter how many times I click the game, it's working. Okay? Question?
Can you show the view once again?
The critical part is that this string begins with a slash. If it doesn't begin with a slash, this is a relative file path. If it begins with a slash, it's an absolute file path. And only when it's an absolute file path do you prevent that problem of it endlessly repeating the middle thing the more you click on it. Okay? Important information for your assignment. Probably should say that in the assignment. So much time, so little to do. Wait, strike that. Reverse it.
It's reward for everyone that shows up to class and watches the videos.
So basically, in assignment 4, right, you take this bit and you make it a variable in the TPL, because this is used a lot. So making it a variable means you don't have to change that everywhere. And it also means that you don't have to change the view depending on like how the server has been configured, which is good, right? Sound good? All right. So HD access is working. Splitting things out is working. We didn't actually test to, like, we didn't actually get data into the tables though. Let's see if we can do that. Skyrim RPG 7 add. So let's take a look. Are we just lagging? Have a problem. Alright. You know what it was? I think the problem is that I cavalierly assumed that I could write an insert statement. Let's grab this one. Back to our model. Let's put the query in there. Don't need ID. I'm probably like missing backticks. That's probably the problem. There we go. Save, 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 save. Try again. Not this one, no. All right. Am I calling the function? Question, yes.
Is it because the explode you've done is like now the game, so you added one more variable?
You're right. Oh, yes. The offset will have changed. Yes. Let's see what the route actually looks like. Yes, very good. That's the fellow that's going to pass this exam. Two, three, save. Skyrim! 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 Very good. Thanks. There we go. Very good. So now, let's see here. Elements of REST API. So, let's do a delete operation. Okay? So let's go to our view. Let's add a new column. No label there, but let's add a delete link. There we go. So set the method on a link? That's a good question. Let me see here. Alright, well, I guess I'll make a small form then. Form, action, and method is delete. There we go. There we go. Now, the thing needs to know which game you want to delete, right? So we're just gonna sneakily sneak a little PHP tag in right there, line at ID. But good? So, let's test this puppy out. Let's not add games anymore. Let's just access it. There we go. So we've got a bunch of delete buttons. If we click one, you can see that delete game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make sense? So, the thing we now need to check is to make sure that the method is correct. Request method is get. I had a feeling that would happen. One moment. Ooh, alright. Alright. To do it, I need to do an AJAX request. I don't want to write JavaScript. I don't wanna! Alright. This is what we're gonna do. We're going to pretend, alright. I was gonna do like a delete and a put example, but we'll imagine that delete is post and that put is get. I'm sorry. I don't want to write fetch requests. It's too much for today. Okay? So, method will be post, Sorry, guys. There we go. See, that's the sort of thing that you leave a comment about. So, you'll notice that I could have been more descriptive with my action name here. My action name is just game, right? The point of this example is that I'm going to do two different things based on whether the incoming method is delete or put, but get or post, right? Make sense? So, going back to our controller, there we go. We can add a new case in here, case game. Now, it's kind of like, somewhat arbitrary and up to you whether, the particular way that you nest methods and action names. Maybe for your particular application, method type is like the first thing you should look at. It's the most selective thing. Maybe here, we're only really interested in different method types if the action name is game, right? That's where I'm going with this one. But generally speaking, you want to proceed from the general to the specific, right? So, switch on server at request method, right? Case get case post. Of course, it's probably a good idea to actually print that. Just so I see if it's upper or lowercase. It's uppercase. Aha! I'm glad I checked. Get post. There we go. So now, so post, deleting an item, right? I kind of want to keep moving, so we'll just, delete the value, right? But we do need to populate the value. So, in the case of the delete operation, the route is game / some variable number, right? That variable number itself needs to be filtered, but it is the actual data that's going to be put into the query for the database, right? So we essentially need to harvest it from our route. Fortunately, this is fairly easy. Filter var we are filtering the route at position 3, and we are using filter validate int, and then we chuck it into the database. Delete game. Delete is a reserved word. In the model, we would have a function, delete game, which we can go back and fill in if we have time. But there we have it. So, there are a couple more points on your REST API material. Here's a code example checklist. Selecting different operations based on your incoming request method. That's one. Number 2, harvesting actual variable data from inside the root and not just switching on it. There you go. Why am I using filter var instead of filter input? Yes, the data that we're looking for isn't located in a superglobal. It's located in this variable. Filter var, filter variable, is the one that you use on variable data. It works just like filter input though. It's just you put a variable in rather than having it look up the superglobal for you. Technically speaking, if you put like, you know, the superglobal, a reference to the superglobal in here, you actually have the same operation as before. Make sense? Questions? All right. Now, I want to do something slightly cool, just a little bit. This is kind of like a hint towards things that you can do. Again, I'm not, you know, I'm running short of time, but let's throw another column in. Let's have this one edit. All right? Let's have this one be an edit line. TD and TD. There we go. We'll throw another one of these in. There we go. So, basically the same as delete. It's now an edit button that says edit, and we've changed the method from post to get. So far, so good? Going back into our controller, this means that we are actually, like we're doing something here, right? So, in this case, it's not so much that we are like receiving data like from the other form and editing it, modifying the value with it. You can consider this opening the entry for editing. So, unfortunately, this one ends in a yada yada JavaScript as well. But let's set a value in the TPL. Editing has one T. Called editing. So, it's good to set a default value for that, so that we don't have to worry about whether it exists or not. Editing is false, otherwise it is the value, it is the ID value of the field that we are editing. Okay, so now in the template array, we know that we are supposed to be editing entry X. So, let's go back to our view. What this allows us to do be selected. If line at ID is equal to, well, if TPL at, well, it would be easier to just set it to a value that's not used, eh? Like -1. There's no valid index -1. So that way you can just say if line ID is explicitly equal to TPL at editing, we can do something else. Does this make sense? So if we're editing, this doesn't have to be anything. This can change to submit edits. Should just change this to a button, actually. This is where like yada yada JavaScript comes in. This one's blank. This one, we can change it for an input type equals text. Some of those formless inputs, if you will. ID equals val1. Type is numeric, or type is number, right? That's how they say it? I forget. All right. You see what's going on here, though? Right? Let me show you what it looks like when it's running. So we have an edit button. Oh, I forgot. There's actually a cool thing you can do. Type value is equal to this thing, right? That way the previous values are pre-populated in the form, right? So we have a bug. Let's take a look. First, let's see if we're actually getting here. Over many, many long decades of programming, my favorite method of seeing if a branch is executed is print exclamation mark. So we are in the branch, which means that if we echo JSON encode of the TPL, which again, something I recommend doing while you're working on anything to do with an MVC architecture. This is kind of the whole purpose of the template array, is that you can easily print everything that's going on. One line. Editing is false. Editing is false. Editing should say -1. Why is editing saying false? Save. Edit. Why is editing false?
Is it getting overwritten by something?
My server just crashed? Maybe. Let's see. Oh, maybe it's not validating as an integer. Because of that question mark. Yeah. See this little guy? Easy enough. Easy enough to take care of. Split on the question mark. Take the first half. Because the request URI will include any query parameters that are included anyways, so this is actually a good step to take. Alright? Nah. Oh. Aha. See? See? You can edit stuff. Change that. Submit edits doesn't do anything because I don't want to write any JavaScript today. Today is just not my day for JavaScript. I would just hurt myself if I tried. But yeah, see, that's kind of cool, right? So, any questions? All right, let me just check through the notes on REST API to see if there's anything important I missed. I suppose HTTP response codes. Unfortunately, I don't think this particular example is amenable to like sending JSON as the body of the request. We'd have to be doing more AJAX, and this is kind of like, I would need to do something other than an MVC architecture to show you that. So, and I really wanted this to also be embedded as a review of MVC architecture. So, but HTTP response codes, for sure we can do. Sending JSON encoded data as the body of an HTTP response is something you have done plentiful times already. All right, like that was basically the output of the like all of assignment 2 and 3. That's how they worked, right? So that you've done plenty of times. So let's take a look at response codes for a moment, though. So it's good to set in the header the type of thing that you are returning, right? Because this is an MVC architecture and we are issuing web pages, our content type will be, what is it, document HTML, text HTML? What's the MIME type for HTML? Where's my pointer? There it is. Text/HTML says the AI. Yeah, text, okay, there we go. From an authentic source. Text/HTML. There we go. Remember that the header function places information into the header of the response. I think text HTML is probably the default. So in theory you don't need to set it, but you should probably set it. But the other one is the response code. There we go. HTTP response code. So, if we are showing the view, then everything has gone normally. What's the response code when everything goes normally?
200.
200. Very good. Thank you for that. For example, if fetching data fails, we will want to set the response code as something abnormal, right? Any suggestions?
Do a teapot one for fun.
Teapot one for fun? Yeah?
400.
400? Yeah, 400 is not a bad one. 400 is kind of like your catch-all, right? But it's at times like these when you should, consult the list. Client error responses, so here's a question though, right? And it all comes down to what has gone wrong and who is responsible, right? If we consider the particular function that we were talking about there, fetch data, does this function take any data from the user? No. So how could it possibly be the case that the user was responsible for this error, right? So the 400 series errors are generally, you gave me a bad request. The 500 series errors are, your request is probably fine, but I had a problem, right? So basically, the 500 series errors are, it's not you, it's me, right? And the 400 series errors are, what do you mean it's not me? I invented it's not you, it's me. If it's anybody, it's me. Anybody? No? Nobody watched Seinfeld? No? Go, okay. After class, as homework, all right, go to YouTube and get a clips compilation of George Costanza from Seinfeld. And you'll understand where I got my personality from. We live in a society! Yeah.
No soup.
Hmm?
No soup for you.
No soup for you,
I love
yeah.
No Soup for You.
That's a good one, yeah. So taking a look through our 500 series, internal server error, not quite. Service unavailable, that might be more the case. Yeah, so service unavailable is probably what you're going for here. Assuming that your database server has been correctly configured, the problem that you would experience having a very basic select query rejected is that the database somehow refused its connection, or the connection was lost to the database, or something happened in the connection between our web server and our database server, right? Not ideal, but it happens. So service unavailable is probably pretty close to the type of error code that you would expect in this particular circumstance, right? So, but that's the game, right? You're not, like, try not to give it general, like, the more general the error code you give, the less information you're giving to people who might be trying to diagnose problems, right? So try to be as specific and specific to the specific situation as you possibly can be. I would say in this case, we're probably it's most likely a 500, a 503. But you kind of get to decide. Does this make sense? Any questions? I don't know. If you want to fill in the missing JavaScript as homework, then that's probably good homework. Question?
So the HTTP response versus all the exit, is there like a major difference between the two? Or?
Yeah, so HTTP response code does not terminate the script. All right? All it's doing is setting a value in the header. Your script is welcome to continue after this point. If you were the kind of MVC architecture that would show an error page based on the returned HTTP response code, I would say that probably what you would do is you would not use this here. You would set an HTTP response inside of the template array, right? And then you would have that, handled later on. Does that make sense? Possibly at the same time that you're producing the error page. So, okay, I think I've covered code examples of all of the REST API stuff that we covered in class at this point. I don't think there's anything useful I can do in the next 7 minutes on this. Ordinarily in this class, before the introduction of the slides on MVC, the final 2 weeks, we'd make a Twitter analog or something like that. But I think having more structured instruction is probably better in that respect. Yeah. No questions?
Oh,
A question? Yes.
So your controller, which is what?
Index?
Yeah, index, which is about 50 lines. Is that roughly how long you'd say it is in the assignments? Because you said that your controller was about 40 lines there.
My controller in the assignment is about 40 lines. But a lot of bulk is added to this by nested switch cases.
Okay.
I didn't ask them in the assignment, so it's a bit weird.
Oh, okay.
I think, if I recall correctly, the way that I handled that in the assignment is like, I took turn as the action, and then I passed left or right into the model, and then the model decided what to do with either left or right. Because like the alternative to that is like 2 model functions, one for turn left and one for turn right, which you could also like do,
I guess.
you know? It made a little bit more sense to me to have like one turn function as opposed to like
Yeah.
turn left and turn right
Yeah, that makes more
functions.
sense to me.
But, you know, they're kind of, those two solutions are equivalent.
Okay.
So,
Along campus,
all right, yeah, sorry.
This has given me some more ideas for where to go from here. when I get home.
Good. All right. Well, I guess since the general consensus seems to be that class is dismissed, I'll officially dismiss class. See you in databases, everybody.